kinds of stuff like that.
I don't think we had any in
Morning,
town.
Brad.
Morning.
There's something else.
Yeah, it was a good storm, but yeah, it didn't seem to blow as bad here as it did like out by you guys or on your side of the river.
Limbs and all kinds of stuff.
Morning, Brad.
Good morning.
Bright-eyed, bushy tails. Let's get food this afternoon, as the day goes on.
I guess we got
Said
one
he-
more minute.
Said it,
We can wait till he sits
I
down.
wouldn't.
said with the humidity, it'll feel
Wouldn't want to
mid-90s, so
probably somebody standing
not for sure.
outside
That's
waiting
cooler
for
than
them.
yesterday, but
At the last minute.
At the last minute,
Being sarcastic.
got the crowd waiting out there.
another fair in the books.
You betcha.
You know, these meetings are great. We pack the room when we have a meeting, I'll tell you.
Good career.
Let's call this meeting of the Board of Public Works, City of Washington, Tuesday, August 13th, to order. Roll call, please.
John Beatmeyer,
Here.
Mike Radetick,
Here.
Brad Mitchell,
Here.
Steve Richardson, Steve Struberg. Here. Steve Sullentrop, Mark Wessel.
Here.
Stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for joining us. Review of the minutes, any comments, corrections, additions, deletions? Motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes approved. Beverly, thank you. I see no priority items listed. Has anything come up, Kevin?
No, everything's doing good. Nothing priority-wise, to speak of.
Okay. That brings us to our nice set of documentation in the packet for a biosolids driving system.
There you go, there you go. That's.
Tell us about that.
That's the name of it. It's called BioScrew, and it's called BioScrew because it's actually
It's a big
a
screw. I see that,
double
yeah.
screw, yeah, drying system. The reason, I think I had maybe discussed this with you guys a few months back about looking into doing something like this. I don't remember off the top of my head, but finally got a proposal on it, a cost. The reason why I'm looking at this, and well, it's myself and Kevin Mossman both, we're looking at it because we're always gonna be generating at least 300 and, a little over 350 dry tons of biosolids, which is our sludge, a year. Year-round, forever, while the plant's running. We generate that much because our plant's has a very effective removal rate of biosolids going through the process. The downside which is what the EPA wants and DNR wants everybody to do.
Sure.
So we're doing that. With that, it generates this biosolid sludge. Right now, we're trying to get it spread on farm fields, we're spreading it over at the airport, we try to take it out to the landfill to dispose of it. Eventually, we're gonna get to a point where we're gonna run out of somewhere to dispose of it. So we're looking at, we'd actually looked at a drying system several years back while Gary was still here. They hadn't really been refined that well, and other communities were having problems with them. But now they've come out, this company has come out, and I think there's another one trying to make one, but they're the only ones right now that have what they call a contained drying system. What that does is that contains all of the sludge that goes into it, and as it's drying, it generates a dust. And in the old way, you had to try and have a dust collection system and keep that from becoming explosive and everything else. This system here actually contains all that and removes that. But what this would do is, this system would actually generate a granular product, which would look just like fertilizer that you buy at the store. It would be what they call Class A sludge, which would be able to be used in your yards, in your gardens, in the fields, wherever, and it could be spread with a regular broadcast spreader rather than a great big $55,000 tractor pull spreader.
Is that similar to like the old dolomite stuff used to be?
It's the same stuff.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
People don't know that, but it's the same stuff. But that's what it looks. I don't know if I showed you guys this or not, if I brought this to you guys, but if you want to look at it, you're more than welcome to.
So you use that on the go.
It smells like chicken farm to me.
Like Malarganite.
Yeah, Malarganite, yeah. Yeah.
So
Read the fine print on a bag of Malarganite. and
at
tell
the
you where
end
it
of the
comes from.
line, is it something, so we would do this and eliminate the need to dispose of it?
But we'll still have to
Make it-
dispose of it in a
But
way.
It could be available for
For
use as
For use
fertilizer?
as fertilizer anywhere.
Could you actually sell it?
You could sell it, we could figure out how to bag it and sell it, it could be done. You could sell it by the bucket load, you could sell it by the truckload. John is actually working on a process somewhat, it's kind of very ground floor of doing something out of recycling with the compost we have out there.
Yeah.
And this could actually be mixed with that and then sold as a different product down the road too. So it's opening up a door for a whole lot of stuff for us to do, but yet it's also reducing the amount of sludge we would have or biosolids we would have, because right now, this bottle here, from the plant that they took the sample from, they had I gotta put my glasses on.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask him that.
16% dry sludge, and this product here was taken down to 92% dry sludge. We have 18% dry sludge that we're working with now, which means that our belt press takes out 18% of the moisture
Okay.
through that process. This would take, this once it went through this process, would take it down to 92. You could take it down to 95 if you wanted. You can adjust that to any level you want to remove your sludge. It just takes longer to do.
What would the volume change?
We're still trying to figure that one out. It's kind of I'm gonna have to probably talk to Steve on that one. I need to. But, the story is it takes it down to about half the volume. Now, there's a plant down in Branson that's already using this system that I'm gonna go down and visit, and just like I did the air scrubber, I'm gonna go down and visit with them, see if it's actually, you don't know until you hit the guys on the ground and see how it really works, so.
Right.
I'm gonna make a trip down there within the next couple months. But I wanted to bring this to you guys because I did put it in the budget this year to try and see if it'll go through, but I wanted to let you guys know and let you guys see what it is.
How much is it?
The equipment's 2.4, I put 3 million in because we'll have to have installation and we'll have to have a little building built to keep
Let
it
me ask
dry.
this question, this is always, will come up as a sore subject, and I can see it come up later at some point. Is our problem, or not, problem is what it is, the amount that we have, does that all go back and relate to the cannibal system not working as it should? And eliminating some, or I won't say all of.
Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat
The
it.
hard sell would be that we spent X amount for the cannibal system, and now we're gonna come back and try to spend,
We very misguidedly spent,
okay, and I'm not,
That's a good point. That's a good point.
it is a good point. We still transfer sludge back from the train, but the cannibal system itself, the way it's supposed to work, doesn't work.
and
Like now, we're pressing 1 day a week now. It's because the way we transfer sludge around, it helps us slow down, but in the winter, we press 5 days a week. Every day we're
and
pressing.
refresh my memory, did we ever figure out why the cannibal system doesn't operate as it should?
No, we didn't. The story was, and by the way, the Siemens wastewater industry who sold all that is no longer in operation. That whole cannibal system theory is gone. It hasn't worked, it doesn't work. Almost every community that's put it in, that was led them to believe that it would work, it didn't work. There was big lawsuits that were tried to be generated from it, but nobody could get
Is there
anything
anywhere
off the
where
ground.
it is working that you know? That you
No,
know? No?
no.
Well, that helps the argument at least. We-
So,
we know.
it was a, I don't even know what to call it. I'm not trying to make excuses. I wasn't involved in that side of it. I got to be involved in the other side of it where it didn't work. But I can tell you that Jacobs Engineering, when they engineered the plant, highly recommended that we not put the cannibal system in. So where the decision was to put it in, there's no record of it. There's no meeting where it was discussed. There was nobody, we just ended up with it.
Well, I'm sure I had to be at one of those meetings. I don't
Yeah,
remember
I'm-
what the
Yeah,
conversation.
we talked about
I
it
don't- we
all.
talked
I know there was
about
a
it.
lot of
We
discussion.
talked about it, and we talked about it, and I could not tell you why we decided to go that way, but I'm just thinking at some point that could be questions that arise,
And they probably will be. I can fully
whether
expect
it's
that.
council or the public, or however we try to
There's a,
if we attempt to raise rates at some point to fund something like this, that those will be questions that come up that at some point, we
But
need to make
apparently-
sure, we need to know how.
Apparently, this
Give me answer.
thing is in usage in places.
It's actually in Branson, down at Twin Rivers Waste Disposal.
And is there
We're
anywhere
taking-
else that is that you know of? I mean,
Not in Missouri. This
not
is
to
the
send
first
you
one in
multiple
Missouri.
places, but
Yeah, there's a couple in Illinois, there's a couple in Indiana, and there's some other ones. I can go to other places. I don't mind. I like traveling.
I
but-
would think it would be, maybe there ought to be a little more due diligence on, I'm not.
Oh, no,
saying
no,
you,
yeah,
but
yeah. Like I said, I wanted to bring it to you
for
guys to
us,
know that.
Asking you to do a
yeah,
little more due diligence before we try to spend $2.5–3 million.
Yeah.
For
Oh, I'm
something
more than
that
happy to.
We
Like I
have to
said,
have
yeah.
because what we spent before doesn't do what we.
Exactly. Well, and even, I gotta tell you, even when they visited Greencastle, Indiana, and they went to two places, and both places claimed that they worked wonderful for them. But you gotta remember, when that was done, whoever calculated our, what they call a BOD loading coming into our plant, broke it in half. Instead of what it was, instead of it being, we're bringing in about 285, a BOD loading of around 280, 85 BOD a day. That's the bio-oxygen demand that it takes to treat the system.
That's what we bring in.
That's what we bring in. When they went out and actually visited these places, whoever did the calculations, and I don't know who did that, calculated that we had 165.
But our plant was gonna have, was
Gonna have 165. So we have two trains come into our plant. We have the north side and the south side. They apparently only sampled the south side out of a manhole coming in, so that broke it basically in half, almost, whatever that amount was. So when they did all these calculations at the time, everything looked good until we actually set the plant in motion, and then we started sampling what was actually coming into the plant, and it doubled. Well, that kind of threw a wrench into things too, so.
Kevin, is it fair to say that this is just a discussion item right now, just to bring it to your attention, that we're looking at ways to reduce the amount of?
Well, yeah, right now
I mean, this
it
is
is,
just
but I
something-
wanted to let you know that I put it in the budget, because hopefully next month, once Darren gets done looking at all the budgets, I can bring our budget to you guys. I've been trying to get that to you guys anyway. I didn't want you to just see it in there and say, well, we didn't discuss this. I'd rather discuss it now and have all this conversation as.
And does this system eliminate expenses on our end, manpower, time?
Good numbers in there on,
Yeah, it won't eliminate,
Will save us money somewhere.
it'll save us money, yes. It'll save us money in the fact that we won't be buying a tractor, which we're gonna have to do if we keep on spreading. We've been trying to take it out to landfill. I'm already paying Regal across the river to spread it for us when they spread their stuff. So in 2 years, I spent, a good amount of money over there, $10,000 over there, so they could spread it for us, because we don't have a tractor and a spreader right now. So if we want to continue doing this, we will have to get a tractor and a spreader. That's like I said, it's about $55,000 for the spreader, and it's, depending if you lease a tractor or you buy it, it's around $58,000 for the tractor or $11,000 a year to rent it. So all that cost would go away, because what we would have here would be something that we could actually set up a system for people to come pick up,
That'll also eliminate some
to
of,
buy, yes.
that'll also eliminate some of the odor problem too, won't it?
Yes, it will, because this would be dry. Right now, our sludge, when we have to store it down at the plant, which we do have to do, when it gets wet, the odor regenerates again.
Debbie should be happy, nobody will be screaming that it's their fault.
I'll be happy too. But anyway, so yes, this would eliminate that issue too. So, it is, right, it is a discussion, but I wanted to bring it to you guys, let you see what it would cost to do it. I don't expect this to make it through this year's budget, I really don't. Maybe next year. My point is that within a few years, we're gonna have to do something. And if we don't start looking at it now, I don't wanna be there at the end of the time and say, oh my God, we gotta do something.
And will you still have the ability, if you had this system, what would you use to spread at the landfill as a cover?
Well, that's where we would just get, we would use one of our current tractors, which are smaller, and just get a broadcast bucket, like you see Hillerman's have, they
So
got
we'd be
that.
you'd be spreading the granulars?
Yeah, it would be granular.
So we'd
spread.
still use, so we wouldn't have to go out and get something separate to spread at the
No,
landfill?
yeah, we could use the equipment that we currently have, except for, I don't know if we have a spreader, but we have, a broadcast spreader.
But you wouldn't have to have another
No.
substance or another product?
No.
You could spread the granular at the landfill. It does
I
this.
think it's important to note that, I mean, this is just one solution to this, to a problem with dealing with the sludge. I mean, we need to look at all the options to see if there is a more cost-effective one as well. So this is not the blanket,
No.
we're
that's
recommending
something
going in this
that's what
direction.
we're
I mean, there's
looking at. And that
$3 million,
I'm
there's a
out
lot of
time
money to be
look
spent
at
there,
them,
so we can,
No, and I understand that. I just know that whatever solution we come up with, if we find a solution,
The interesting part about this is the landfill is kind of the, with our lease, with the Strick-offs, we remove soil. So we essentially go and we scrape off all the soil. We use it for our daily cover over at the landfill. At the end of that lease period, which I don't know, just say it's in 10 to 15 years, I don't know off the top of my head what it is, we actually have to provide all those areas, those borrow areas, with topsoil back on it. So now we have to generate topsoil. So that's one problem that we haven't figured out yet, is how are we going to do that? You can go scrape it somewhere else and haul it in. Well, that's going to be a cost disaster. So one idea is that we make it. We literally make the topsoil. We get a commodity, which is the compost center, which is a single grind, 3-inch grinder. If you can grind that down to something smaller, to a compost, you just generate your topsoil. The issue with topsoil is you got to have some kind of bio mix to put into it. And St. Louis composting, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a black gold is what it's called in St. Louis, but they actually sell it as a commodity. So right now, the sludge that we have, you cannot inject into that because you can't really touch it. You can't really use it for that. If you go to a class 1, you can. So it changes the dynamic a little bit. Now, whether that's us making it with this process or us going out and getting an agriculture type sludge, which is a little bit different, we don't know that yet. It's just, there's multiple problems that we're trying to solve with using the sludge as essentially a commodity rather than a liability. So this is a much bigger discussion than just the drying. It kind of crosses boundaries in between multiple funds, really. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They do sell this stuff to golf courses, so you know that.
Yeah, and one that you see a lot of anymore is like a chicken kind of scat, I guess, is, turns its high nitrogen level, which is probably what this would be as well. So they're going away from this kind of fertilizer that's made essentially to some more of a natural situation. So there's a lot of different benefits. It's just looking in to make sure that it's cost effective to do so.
And again, I'll just say this for the last time, again, I'm sure there's going to be benefits, and I'm sure it's something that we need to do.
Yeah,
But I think we'll have to be prepared to answer
for sure. And
why we're at this point versus
it's important
what we did or didn't.
with the cannibal system, which I don't know much about it at this point, but
Doesn't work.
It does. I know that. I do know that.
It doesn't work.
Is what we
We
ought to
tried.
be.
We
Simplest terms.
We ought to look into. I don't think anyone here can say why it doesn't. So we ought to look into why it doesn't. If it's spend a little bit of money at least to answer that question, it may be worth it. Why doesn't it work? That's a question I have, and I need to know that.
Simple biological process. The theory was, I'll give you a quick theory on it here. The theory was we were going to take our sludge that came in. It has a biological process in itself. It was going to go over to the cannibal system, which is basically anaerobic digestion. And then it was going to come over here, and it was going to generate another aerobic material that was then going to be reintroduced into the plant over here, and these guys were going to eat these guys, which then in turn would reduce sludge over here because you wouldn't have the biosolids going over here. What they found out was that these guys over here weren't strong enough to overtake these guys here, and these were just becoming dead bodies.
Makes sense.
Didn't taste good. They didn't want to eat it.
Dead bodies. So what happened was we would take the sludge from here that was being pumped back over here, introducing more dead bodies, and then it was generating more biosolid sludge because it was taking out the little bit, even though they're a little minute, but you start adding them up, they build big sludge. So that's why it doesn't work. The concept did not work. Bottom line,
It's just being able to make sure that we have that answer very concisely so we can explain.
And the same answer.
It's not planned right now to introduce this for this upcoming budget.
He's got it in the budget.
I put it in the budget. I don't think it's going to make it through the budget. But that's what we have to do. We have to start.
Gotta start.
I got to get the ball rolling, because what I don't want to do is sit here 5 years down the road and then we find out that we can't mix our sludge with what we're trying to do out there because it's Class B and we don't have Class A rating. We can't use it for that, and then we're still sitting here generating 350
So what it essentially
tons of dry tons.
sorry.
I just would assume by chance if it makes it through the budget, the dollar amount makes it through, not the actual,
Yes.
not that actual.
Yeah, no, this is just one system that I started. I had to get a number somewhere. I had to start with something.
So essentially what it becomes is this is the Cadillac, the higher end item. If there's a cost effective way to lower it, that's what we'd have to look into. It is, the analysis is not
we also have to
necessarily
look
been done.
into, I have to look into what is the safest process to use too. So there's processes out there that in the long run, they found out that it's taken more because they had to do more to make them safe. You know, because this dust can become very explosive if you're not careful with it. So it's kind of like working in a sugar factory. You always talk about sugar dust. It's very explosive. It's kind of the same thing with this. It can become very explosive. So you got to be careful with it. And that's insurance companies mess with it. So anyway.
All right, good discussion. Look forward.
Continue to evaluate.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Moving on to the other side of the system, how about the water?
Water's doing pretty good, I think. We've had a couple water main breaks. We have water lines we need to replace, you know, but other than that, it's normal operation.
Speaking of water breaks, I just got a phone call. Can the city come to my house and turn the water off?
Yeah.
There's a leak. Scobie's there. I had a pipe break. My wife just called me.
Sorry, I'm not laughing at you.
Apparently, they
It's
have
terrible.
to turn it off at the curbs.
This is a bad question. What's your address so I don't get one?
2311 South Bend Drive.
Sorry.
What was that?
Yeah, that's where the
2311, Kevin.
2311.
South Bend. But that's
Want to
what-
make sure I
your
get
call?
it
That was
right?
your
phone
call?
call is just there's a pipe broken. The plumber
you were
says the
very-
city's got to turn the water off.
That was your
You
phone
were
call?
very patient.
That's
I
amazing.
know, I was very patient.
Maybe that's why the alarm went on.
That's why the alarm
That's
went
an
off.
emergency call.
Jeez.
Well, what better place
Chad.
to make
Hey,
the
can you get over to 2311 South Bend Meadows and turn the water off?
South Bend Drive.
About South Bend Drive? Turn the water off? Yes.
Like
All right, they got a water leak, lines leaking in their house, so if you can get somebody right away. All right? Okay? All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, bye.
That's service.
Privilege.
That is service.
Hey, you're in the right place.
That's why you volunteer.
Just for those times.
There you go.
All right.
Well, with water, real quick, I think Kevin hit on it pretty briefly there, but there's a lot of water lines to replace. So I know we've been kind of hitting on this a little bit in regards to like when we're doing our street paving projects. You know, we kind of implemented kind of a loose policy that if we could see a couple patches in the street, that's a water line that's essentially broke over X amount of time since the last time the street's been patched. So we put a little loose policy in that if we're paving streets, hey, Kevin, we need to look at, do we replace this water line? And then we've been doing that. So Oak Street, I know it took a little while to get that done, but that was them coming in ahead of us, not the street, but engineering to get the street paved, and it should reduce the risk. Now, knock on wood, we never will eliminate a risk for a break, but it should reduce the risk if you're replacing them. So the important part here is as we move forward with that loose policy, there's not enough funds, to keep up with that. And I know, John, we've been talking a little bit about water rates and that type of stuff. So staff is really looking into this to at least come up with kind of the strategy is we know what our 2018 revenues were. We know what those numbers were. It was last year. It's of record. So utilizing those same usages from 2018, we're developing different scenarios of what would water rates potentially look like. Is it a blanket percent increase? 5%? I don't know. What is it going to be? Is it a look at changing how, right now we have a 4-tier type structure. 0 to 1500 charge rate, 15 to 16,667 is a rate, 16 to 16,667, and then 16,667 plus is a rate, so it's 4-tier. Do you condense that tier to go to 3-tier to try to generate revenue? Yeah, it's interesting enough. It's kind of like taxes. It's a little bit backwards, but or do you do a combination of a percent increase and whatever? So you have to look at your different users as well, because the highest percentage of users is kind of in that middle range, 12 to 20,000. But then you also have to worry about the industrial park. So it becomes this very interesting analysis. So what we're doing is we're putting together those concepts to come up with three or four options. To see what kind of revenues we need. Right now, it looks like in order to keep up, in order to catch back up over 10 years, we're needing around 160,000 more in revenue, which is somewhere, I think that's about 5%, maybe a shade more than that, of what we need to do. And that will only catch us back up to where we need to be in 10 years. So keep that in mind. That only catches us back up. That does not improve the system. So. I mean, that's somewhat can be a little shocking to people. So right now, in communities our size, which is 10 to 20,000, and Kevin put this report out, I don't know if everybody got a copy of it, but we're like the lower three, in the lowest three of communities our size on water rates in the state of Missouri. It's very, very, very inexpensive to pay for water here, which is fine. It's just some of these decisions that have to be made sooner than later. And I know I've been promising this as a winter project, and we've been working on it. I think we're very, very, very close to at least being able to intelligently have that conversation with you all on what do the options look like. And at least present those as a proposal. So I would say in the next month or two, we're going to be in
We're
front
gonna
of
have
you
a
all
workshop.
having a workshop to discuss.
We're gonna have a workshop to discuss it, so.
So, not that there's any promises on what we're going to propose or, you know, a rate increase or anything like that. It's just we got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because in 3 to 5 years,
Right.
we are operating in the red. So we have to figure this out.
And this is a conversation we've had before about where we're at. It's not something new. We've known it
Right.
for a while. It's just.
2012 was
now's
the last
time
rate
we
increase.
have to do it. We have to do something.
So,
Okay,
just let you all know, we haven't been sitting on our hands.
Good.
So,
good, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other new business to talk about?
No.
Old business, well 9?
Well, 9, we've got it all back together. I am waiting for my SCADA system guy to come out to hook everything up on the SCADA so it can be controlled, and we'll have it online, so.
Outstanding.
Yep, we're like right there. Just gotta wait for a person to show up.
Good, good.
I assume, this goes old business, I assume when we start talking about rate increases, and the replacement of lines and whatever else is causing increased expenses, we'll be discussing a new storage facility, new well, those are things we've talked about for.
Correct. Capital improvement sales tax has $50,000 allocated for a new storage tank. That's 40 to 50% of what it actually needs to be. So that's part of that we need to look into making sure that the fund can fund itself. Because again, capital improvement sales tax is voted every 8 years, and you can't use it as a guaranteed funding source. And I don't think we can rely on that. So that definitely plays into that discussion of if 160 gets us out of the red in 10 years, you know, is it 250 that maybe actually gets us operating the way we should be? You know, so that's the discuss. I mean, that is probably the meat and potatoes of the discussion. So.
Okay. Duro water tank.
We're still working on it. It doesn't look like we're gonna get it done in the summer, so it's probably gonna end up in the fall when we get it going. It's not just not gonna work out for the summer run, so. Still working on it. It will still be painted, but it'll probably be more down to the fall, so.
All right. Any other discussion from anyone? If not, we have another meeting scheduled. Is it the 13th? We know it's in September.
10th.
September 10th, is that when we're going to
September
meet?
10th.
That'd be a good day. If there's no other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned, thank you all. Not that.
Yep, they should be I'm hoping they're there by now to help you with that. At least getting the water turned
I
off.
do a paper calculation.
No problem.
Yeah.
And I had on there, it was this week,
Yes, it's,
I just went through.
it's good to say we need to look